Give me 10 minutes and I'll be giving you the exact roadmap that I use to hit my first 10K in sales. My name is Sean. I'm 23 years old and I have closed over $22 million in deals for B2C and have been consistently hitting 10K months since March. So I'll be taking you through the process from the very beginning of having amateur sales skills and no opportunity into becoming a cash cow for racking in commissions. So we'll be going over the skills, the attitude, the opportunity, the inputs, the prospecting, the selling, and then in the end, you'll be able to hit your first 10K in commissions alone in sales. So let's get into it. First, as a salesperson, as anyone new to the industry, you're going to work on your hard skills. And these skills would be basic sales skills, which are your ability to communicate, right? Your tonality, your pitch, right? How you present yourself to another human. Those basic sales skills are the underlying root skills that you will need as a salesperson. The next one obviously is objection handling. This one, there are a lot of tutorials on YouTube that you can watch. YouTube is the place that I first started when I was learning sales. I watched a lot of Tony Robbins, right? He's an amazing person that you can learn from. And if you're a student of mine, you're going to have a complete objection handling playbook, right? So this will be a lot easier for you. But if you don't, then books and YouTube are your best friend in this early stage of building up your skills. The next is discovery and ICP research. Discovery is essentially just researching your prospect and understanding why they are going to buy, why they won't buy, what kind of person they are, what have they done in the past, and just discovering, right, more about your prospect. And your prospect that you're targeting is called an ICP. That's your ideal customer profile. And that is who you should be targeting in every single one of your sales calls and every single prospecting session. The next is pitching, because you're no salesperson without a good pitch. Pitching allows you to convey the features, the benefits, and the emotions of your product or your service. You can do everything else right, but if you can't pitch, you're not going to close. And the last is negotiations. Obviously, as a good salesperson, this will allow you to upsell a product. This will allow you to increase your commissions in some aspect. Negotiations is the fundamental of sales, right? All of these skills are things that are necessary and are things that are going to come up in your sales career. So it's good to knock them off early. Okay. So after you got your skills down, then we go into more of the attitude part of sales. You can have all the right sales skills, but if you don't have the right attitude or the right mentality, you're probably not going to be the top 1%. It starts with an ownership mentality. Okay. Ownership mentality means that everything that happens in sales is ultimately because of you. If you lose a deal, it's on you. And once you take ownership of everything that you can do as a salesperson, life becomes a lot easier because you understand that you're going to control what you can control. And we'll get into that later. The second one is an abundance mindset, right? This goes back to visualization and manifestation. And I literally visualized my first deal closing and it was $1 million. The next two go hand in hand. It's a scoreboard obsession as well as a winner mentality. In sales, ultimately, this is a game. You're competing as every other salesperson. You're competing with yourself and understanding that you're going to do whatever it takes to be number one. You are going to make it so far in sales because you understand that nothing is going to stop you. You're going to be number one. And if you have that mentality and you put it towards a skill like sales, okay, you will go far. Understanding that competition breeds better talent is something that is very important in sales. Self-coaching is another big thing in sales because you want to constantly be getting 1% better. Every single day that you are slacking, there is someone on the tail end starting out just like you that is getting obsessed. And if you don't get 1% better every single day, they're going to catch up. So self-coaching yourself to always stay up to date, to always be refined in your skills, to always go out there and put yourself out there and do everything it takes to constantly be getting better. Constant forward momentum and getting 1% better every single day is a baseline skill and mindset to have as a salesperson, and it comes down to self-coaching. And the last one is rejection. Rejection is part of the game in sales. Stuff happens and you just have to deal with it, move on, and look to the next deal. Don't sulk over one deal that didn't close. Focus on the 5 that you're going to close after. So after you've got down the skills and the attitude, now it gets into where are you going to apply this, right? You need to find an opportunity. And there's only 2 lanes that you can go down. It's either you've sold something in the past or you haven't sold something in the past. And if you haven't, I think this is where you have an advantage because you have that chip on your shoulder. The greatest salespeople that I know have come out of these roles here. They had no experience, they got into the industry, and they were hungry. 100% commission roles make you hungry. And I chose to go into a cold calling role because I believe that cold calling was one of the best way to get prospects, and it turned out well, right? Like I was able to hit $22 million in commissions just through a cold calling role, right? And it's through B2C. So if you do have experience, yeah, you have a little more wiggle room. You can go the enterprise tech route here. You can go just a classic salesperson route here. I just included these two because I know that high ticket sales is getting very big. As a salesperson, whenever opportunity comes in front of your door, you need to take it no matter what. So whether it's a 100% commission role or an AE role at an enterprise tech company, take it and apply your skills and your attitude, and I promise you, you will do well. Honestly, just with these 3 steps, you can already be making 10K in commissions, but I'm gonna go into a little more detail about what you can do specifically, right? So the inputs is all about controlling what you can control, because at the end of the day, as a salesperson, if you understand that if you did everything in your power truly to potentially close the deal and it still didn't close, you need to understand that's out of your control. Okay. You could have maybe handled the objection better. You could have maybe stayed on the call longer. But at the end of the day, truly, there are some things that are out of your control as a human being that you cannot sulk on as a salesperson. And that's a big trend that I hope you've been seeing. Sulking on the losses and sulking on things that didn't go wrong in sales is the ultimate recipe for why there's such a high churn rate. Okay. And then it goes back to the attitude. If you have the attitude on lock, dead deals, people cussing you out, they're not going to phase you. Okay. Because you understand that you have the skills and you're constantly refining them. Okay. So refining your skills is something that goes back to getting 1% better every day, because there's always going to be a new way of selling. Some days this way of selling is going to work. Other days it won't. Even though you're closing deals, always be refining your skill set. This one is the next one, mentorship and one-on-one coaching. And I personally did this when I was starting out. I got a mentor and it actually helped me out a lot. But that's when I had absolutely none of these two. If you already have these two, and then you want to go on top of that and get a mentor is going to mold to whatever your personality is and to whatever your selling style is. Everyone has their own personality and way of selling, and understanding this is so important, because every salesperson is listening to these Instagram gurus giving basic ass sales advice, thinking that it'll work for everyone. It won't. Everyone's different. Everyone has their own way of selling, and mentorship and one-on-one coaching will allow you to really progress and probably 10x your commission in half the amount of time that it took your mentor. The next one is this little feedback loop that has actually helped me develop my sales skills a lot. It's the apply, the feedback, and then the revise loop. So let's say you get a new way of selling that you want to try out. You're not going to know if it works until you apply it in action. So you apply it, you get feedback from your prospects or your peers, understand what works, understand what doesn't work, revise, and then rinse and repeat. This process allows you to constantly refine your skills, and it will take you very far in sales if you apply it to every single one of these hard and soft skills that we discussed earlier. So now going into prospecting and selling, these are just very little tips that I've used personally whenever I was prospecting and whenever I was selling that could potentially boost your timeline for hitting 10K. Personal quotas allows you to maintain your goals and understand that you have a certain number that you want to hit, and you're going to do everything in your power to get there. It ties directly to personal goals, right? As a salesperson, you should always have a North Star goal that you're aiming towards, and you're going to be working on that every single day to reach those quotas. And then next is setting a standard for yourself. And I think comfort kills a lot of salespeople. So setting a certain standard for yourself that you're going to be number one, that no one's going to beat you, that you're going to be at the top of that scoreboard. That standard that you set for yourself is going to allow you to crush your personal goals, to crush the doubt, to crush the negativity, and just maintain focus on what truly matters and what you can control as a salesperson. And these two skills are for salespeople that are just starting out. Sometimes in sales, less is more. You want to take the qualified calls, but in the beginning, you need to be doing everything in your power to churn volume like it's your goddamn job. In the beginning, more is more. You need to be churning the volume. As you go on later in your career, less is more, trust me. Now, the final part of selling, learning new ways and constantly getting better, like we have said in this video, is one of the best ways to always stay on top of your game. Finding what works for you. All this sales advice that you are getting, some will work, some won't. because everyone has their own personality. All humans are different, and we all have our own way of selling, believe it or not. And if you're my student, then yes, we are going to tailor everything to whatever style that you have. The next is to keep it simple. All these gurus are saying, oh, follow this XYZ framework, say this and this and this. Dude, at the end of the day, sales is simply a conversation between two individuals. Don't get it messed up in your head, going back and forth between different frameworks and scripts like you saw on Instagram. Keep it simple and work with what works. The next is product and domain knowledge, and this is an extremely important point, and I hope that everyone listens to this, because if you don't know what you're selling to a T, you are going to sound dumb on every single sales calls, and you will not be able to maintain conversation. Why should a prospect buy from you in that situation? Understand what you're selling, understand the industry, understand the do's, the don'ts, the whys, the why nots, and become a product market expert. The last one I'll leave you guys with is reps, reps, reps. You won't know if a sales tactic works. You won't know if anything works unless you actually take action. And once you get that feeling of closing your first deal, you're going to understand that reps mean everything. Practice makes perfect, and it is real. This is the exact roadmap that I personally used to hit 10K a month in commissions. Hard work pays off, and eventually, if you apply this, you will be able to hit your first 10K in sales. I promise you.